My name is Lama Ole Nydal. I'm a Buddhist teacher. I'm Danish. I'm 62 years old at present. And my lovely wife Hannah and myself, who is also here in Venezuela at present, actually had the very great chance of meeting the highest meditation masters of Tibetan Buddhism. People who had spent 30 years in retreats and, needed special translators because they'd forgotten how to speak, because they were just out there, spaced out with their minds, right? And we were very lucky. We met those people. We could stay 4 years with them. We got very, very close transmissions and became very good friends of theirs. Today they're dead, right? And we feel that it's our responsibility to pass on what they taught us, to make sure that everybody gets a chance to get into contact with that. So we don't feel like, what can you say, missionaries, you can't be a missionary in Buddhism because everybody must find their own way. You cannot force anybody to believe anything. So, but we feel like traveling professors, and we feel like keeping a very, very interesting philosophical, psychological system alive. Buddha had 45 years for teaching. He had exceedingly intelligent students. He left 108 books, as thick as this, called the Kanjur, with 84,000 teachings that benefit beings. So it's a big job. So if we look at Buddhism today, it is one of the large world religions, but we should not be cheated by the fact that it's called a religion, because it's actually very different from what we normally call religions. If we go back to the Latin root of the word, it is re and ligare, which means bring together again, or again unite with something that is perfect. In this case, Buddhism is not a religion. We do not think that we ever fell out of a paradise. We do not think that we ever lost any kind of perfection. We think that from beginningless time, our mind worked like an eye, meaning that we can see everything outside but not our own mind. And here, Buddhism is then the methods that hold up a mirror and show us our true nature. So we were always confused. We never lost enlightenment. We were always confused. But this also means that when we get it, we don't lose it again. I mean, it's solid from then on. We can trust it. So it is not quite certain how many people around the world are Buddhist, for the simple reason that in China, one does not speak about one's religion. This can be quite dangerous. So in the free world, there are about 350 million Buddhists, and in China, there is somewhere between 400 and 600 million Buddhists also, meaning that we are probably close to 1 billion people. This means we are approximately the same as Hindus. It means we are somewhat more than the Taoists. And it means that we are less than Islam, the Muslims, with 1.4 billion. And we are much less, about half of Christianity, with 1.9 billion people. So if we look at Buddhism the way it manifests, it has a very unusual history, because the goal of Buddhism is to develop everybody's Buddha nature. Because we never wanted to convince anybody of anything that did not fit their minds or did not fit their lives, we see no religious wars inside Buddhism. We see no conquests in order to make other people into Buddhists. We sometimes see Buddhists getting angry and fighting about something which is human, or protecting their country as well as they can, which is also human. But this is never Buddhist. We have no holy wars, we have no conquer Jerusalem or anything like that. We actually always thought that people are very different, and therefore they should have different chances to grow and develop. Actually, we can talk about 3 kinds of Buddhism. If we really look at the teachings, we can say that one of them is in the southern part of the world. If you look at the map, you have Indochina minus Vietnam, and you have Ceylon. Here we have the kind of Buddhism they call Theravada, and the Tibetans usually said Hinayana. And this is where the main goal is helping oneself, bringing oneself to a level of liberation. Here, monks and nuns are very important, and the things one does not do are very important. Then, if we look into the northern Buddhist world, we go up into, I'm painting a map for you right now, by the way. If we go up from Vietnam into China, you'll see the Koreas, you'll see Japan, you'll see Taiwan, you'll see Singapore, you'll see Hong Kong. And all those places, you know, are actually today to a high degree Buddhist. And here, another kind of Buddhism is developed, the one we call Great Way or Mahayana. If you go west into Europe then, or into Asia towards the direction towards Europe, then you will see some Mongolian tribes in Siberia called Kalmuks, Buryats, and Tuvas. They didn't know they were Buddhists until I came and told them, right? Because Stalin had killed everybody who could read and write. But they had an idea that they were Buddhists, right? And they were incredible people and nice people to teach. Then if you go down from there, you have, like, what can you say? You have Mongolia. And down from there, again, you have Tibet. And because Buddhists usually have small families, because we educate our women and don't keep them pregnant all the time, then also in the Himalayas, which used to be basically Buddhist, now Hinduism is becoming very strong simply because the families have up to 10 children, so they just spread out. But you can still say that the high Himalayas are Buddhist, and you can say that maybe 2/3 of Bhutan, the mountainous parts of Bhutan, are also Buddhist. So these are the traditional Buddhist countries spread out from 2,500 years ago when Buddha got enlightened and started teaching, until around 750 or maybe 1,000 when Buddhism had spread over its present area. Now, if we look on from there, then we will see that among these second level of teachings, the Mahayana or the Great Way teachings, there is a group of people that we would maybe today, with our way of thinking, call artistic types. Maybe we would call the Southern Buddhism the self-centered ones. We'd call Northern Buddhists like the compassionate, wise ones, like, say, the altruistic ones. But there also is, on the basis of the altruistic view, there also is a third group of people who work in a very special and very effective way. And this way becomes possible when people understand that we can only see enlightenment outside because we already have it inside. Where people begin to understand that the difference between the Buddha and us is the fact that he meditated more. When one begins to understand that basically mind is radiant clear space, and that one can work with mind, that one can remove the dust from the mirror or calm the ocean, the waves of the ocean, and suddenly the radiance of mind, the depth of the ocean, is recognized. Said in other words, that one can actually go from being interested in the things happening in mind to being interested in mind itself. That one can notice the timeless essence which is behind all the things that we are always experiencing. So here, these teachings of the Diamond Way are today, they exist in the Zen teachings, on the formless level, they exist in the Chan teachings, again on the formless level, and they exist in Tibetan Buddhism, in Diamond Way Buddhism, as this is called, and it's a translation from the teaching Buddha gave, or the name Buddha gave himself, 2,550 years ago. That these third level of teachings, they point directly to mind. You can say that the first level of teaching is like Southern Buddhism is like building the house by yourself. The second level of teaching is, well, building it together with friends and, well, having a few interesting machines, which is a high wisdom which is there. And the friends is like everybody wants us to get enlightened so we can benefit them. But the highest level of teaching is like building the house from the crane. We swing over, we pour the foundation, we put the walls, we put the roof, and the house stands. And the meaning of these teachings is actually behaving like Buddha till we become Buddha. It means constantly putting on the beautiful face of enlightenment until one day we cannot take it off again because it became our face. It really became us. So these teachings are exceedingly effective, and these teachings create very strong psychological, philosophical changes in people, and they are very useful, to the modern world. The way that great parts of Asia and Africa are right now becoming Christian, because that is a level of teaching that they are ready for now. A lot of the West, especially the educated West, are looking to Buddhism. And they're looking to Buddhism for the simple reason that here is a religion you don't have to believe. You get methods, you work with the methods, and you get experience. Now this thing with belief religion and experience religion should also be well understood. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, so I want to say very clearly what is meant by this. I'm not saying that people who pray are not having experiences. Of course they have. They want something and they put their energy into it. And I also will not say that whoever sits down to meditate the first time is in danger of turning into a rainbow. It takes a while, right? But what I am saying is that in the theistic religions, which came from the Old Testament, which moved into Islam, which is shocking the world today, or into Christianity, which is actually becoming quite civilized and friendly and tolerant, right? These religions which move this basic religion on, here you never become what you focus on. You don't become the God. Well, it's very good you don't become Allah, Can you imagine more than one? We'd have a big problem, right? But also, with Christianity, you don't become the Christian God. You don't. Truth is always outside. While with Buddhism, you actually become what you meditate on. If you remove the veils from your mind, if you build up very strongly all the positive qualities you can, you will become Buddha. There is no doubt about it. You will become that. And that is a really important thing. That is what the difference between a religion of belief, where truth always stays outside, and a religion of experience, where it becomes you. So if we just look again at the way that Buddha taught, we can see that he taught three pillars: information, which should always be questioned, which must never be believed; meditation, where the understanding is taken from the head to the heart and becomes a part of our lives; and holding the level, or living it, putting it into our lives, getting proof through experience. So these three pillars are there. And as I said, they were given for people who were more thinking of themselves. They were given for people who wanted to philosophize and think on a beyond personal level, and also who wanted to actually develop their inner life. And then they were given on the level that we call the Diamond Way. And the Diamond Way is then where we behave like Buddhas till we become Buddhas. In its most complete form, it exists in the three old schools of Tibetan Buddhism: in the Nyingma, in the Sakya, and the Kagyu. In these three lineages, we have the whole thing, and that is what makes Diamond Way Buddhism so interesting to people today. So we have about 450 Diamond Way centers around the free world. the worlds where there's religious freedom, where there is some political freedom. And you can go there if you can want, you can meet the people, and they will benefit, and you will benefit.